A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media bringing you an RPG review today, so cheers. Now, I've said this many times on the channel. I'm a huge fan of Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, just look at the t-shirt I'm wearing, for crying out loud. Just here, you can see all of my 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons books. I have been collecting 1st and 2nd edition stuff from Drive-Thru RPG for the past year. All of you that follow the channel know this. You also know that Dungeons and Dragons isn't the biggest and the best tabletop RPG out there. There are hundreds, maybe thousands of systems that are actually better than Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not going to argue with that. I've got a lot of them right over there. Things like Call of Cthulhu, Vampire the Masquerade, well, really any World of Darkness stuff. Heck, I even love the new Marvel Multiverse role-playing game. I think that's fantastic. I love the G.I. Joe role-playing game, the Transformers role-playing game, Alien, Blade Runner, even some of the lesser-known ones like the Three Musketeers, Zorro, the old Star Wars RPGs. These games are fantastic. However, I grew up playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's always going to have a soft spot in my heart. And sadly, I wish I hadn't done this actually, but when 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons came out, I switched over from Pathfinder. Now, I had an absolute ton of Pathfinder books. I ended up selling them to a gaming group over here in South Korea that really wanted to get into Pathfinder. That's 1st edition. They have released Pathfinder 2nd edition. I do have that, as well as a few of the source books. And I think it's a fantastic system as well. But like I said, I grew up with Dungeons and Dragons. It's always going to be my first love for role-playing games, even though, surprisingly, I have not run a Dungeons and Dragons game with my current gaming group. I actually haven't run anything for quite some time with them. The last thing we were playing was Advanced Fighting Fantasy, which is the 3rd system that I've been running for them. So in 2024, I was a bit surprised when Wizards of the Coast released a new version of the Player's Handbook, the Dungeon Master's Guide, and the Monster Manual. It's a bit of a rules update, nothing too major. There are videos out there where people will go through the entire book and tell you what's different about this, what's different about that. You can find them, and they are really entertaining, really good. Personally, I don't really give a shit. I'm not a rules Nazi when it comes to that. But I did get my hands on a copy of the latest Wizards of the Coast book, the Dungeons and Dragons Forgotten Realms Heroes of Faerun player expansion. We have some little dragony things. And I thought, you know what? Let's give this a go and see what it's like. And I have to admit, I was actually pretty impressed with this book. Yes, I come off as a Dungeons and Dragons fanboy. I get it. But there is information in this book that just brought back a lot of memories, very nostalgic. It's a lot of fun, and the best part of it is your players can get this. This isn't one of those books where it's just got the damn information you don't want the players to know about it, so you keep it out of their slimy little hands, because those players are always sneaky. Your players can get this. Your players can read up on the new character options. They can read up on the lore. They can read up on the world of Faerun. They can read up on the new spells, the gods, all of that stuff. All the information in here is player-centered. And that is something that I absolutely love, and I wish Wizards of the Coast did a lot more. Player-centered books. Sorry, centered, not centered. Sounded like the players of perfume. That was a bit weird. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this, not in a lot of detail. There are already 100 videos out there that go through this book in minute detail. And if you want that, go and look them up by all means. I'm just going to go through this quickly, tell you what I liked about it, maybe some of the things I didn't like so much, and then we're just going to leave it at that. So, with that said, please get ready for the next episode of
Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. People.
Okay, I apologise if there's a bit of glare on the cover or the pages, just from the overhead light. It makes it a little bit easier for me to kind of read. Okay, so here we have the cover. This beautiful cover art here. Absolutely love it. And the front cover and the page here, this is a map of Faerun. So you've got the Moonshade Isles, Baldur's Gate, Sword Coast, Waterdeep, Neverwinter, Icewind Dale up here, the Anarok Desert, Shadowdale, Mithranor, the Heartlands, Villain Reach, the Old Empires, the Lands of Intrigue, Calimport. Down here, the Isle of Cholt, which is like a jungle dinosaur isle. The Arcane Empires, Thaymount. The Red Wizards are from there, the Forgotten Lands, and the Great Glacier. And of course, we've got the Moonsea right there. Just beautiful. We have Heroes of Faerun. We have all of our credits here, our table of contents, and then a little bit of an introduction, kind of welcome to Faerun. You have a Pegasus, a dragon. Then you have an overview of what the chapters are. We have the character options, a guide to the realms, the gods of Faerun, Aurora's Whole Realms catalogue, which is equipment, and the magic of Faerun. Now we start, we have Factions of the Realms, and then there's other resources that you can use, the novels, the video games, and all of this other stuff, which kind of points you in the right direction if you have never played in the Forgotten Realms and you're excited or interested to get into it. So our character options, we start with the character species. This was formerly called races, but they've changed the terminology, which is perfectly fine. You got the Aasimar, and it gives you a little bit of information about them. Aasimar, of course, being people descended from like angels or demons, things like that. You got the Dragonborn. Dragonborn were introduced in, I believe, 4th edition when the Spell Plague hit and Abra and Toril got smashed together. So you got a little bit of history about them. You've got the dwarves, you've got your gnomes. The Goliath, they're like half giants. Really, really cool. I believe Goliaths initially came about in 2nd edition Dark Sun, and they've made the move over, which is phenomenal. I absolutely love the Goliath race. Halflings, humans, of course, orcs, tieflings. Tieflings have demonic bloodline, which is pretty cool. And then you've got your subclasses. So you pick your subclass at level 3. I've gone over this in previous videos, but I'll go over it again. Why not? At level 3, you pick your subclass. So let's say your class is fighter, then your subclass is basically branching off into a specific kind of speciality, if you want. So for the bards, you get the College of the Moon, which is really cool. For the cleric, you get the Knowledge Domain. Think of the god Ogmar, who is the god of knowledge. For fighters, you get the Banneret, kind of an inspirational fighter. This is my favorite, I think, out of all of this. For a paladin, you get the Oath of the Noble Genies. So basically, it's almost like you're getting your paladin abilities from genie kind, earth, air, fire, water, jinn, all of that kind of cool stuff. That is freaking fantastic. The ranger gets the Winter Walker, which is really helpful if you're playing in Icewind Dale. This is my second favorite, I think. The rogue gets Scion of the Three. Basically, you're a rogue who follows the three dead gods from the time of troubles. Bane, Baal, who is the god of murder, and Merkel, who was the god of the dead. It's now Kellamvor at the moment. These three gods were all slain by Cyric in the Time of Troubles trilogy, Shadowdale, Tantris, Waterdeep. Cyric used his sword Godsbane, a sentient short sword, to slay them, and then he took over their portfolios and became the god of murder, the god of lies, the god of death. The novel I'm currently reading at the moment, Prince of Lies, is a continuation of that story, and it just gives me goosebumps thinking about it, but that's really cool. Sorcerers get Spellfire sorcery. We first saw Spellfire in the novel Spellfire, written by the fantastic Ed Greenwood, and the first character in the Forgotten Realms to actually harness Spellfire is, of course, Chandril Chasseur. So that's kind of cool. And wizards get the Blade Singer, kind of an updated version. So it's like a wizard warrior kind of a thing, using your sword to cast spells and shit like that. Then you get some new backgrounds. You get the Chondathan Freebooter. You get the Dead Magic Dweller, which is cool. Dragon Cultist, which is super cool because the Cult of the Dragon is one of my favorite evil organizations. I think for me, they are just above the Zentarum. And the Zentarum are just above the Red Wizards of Thay. Emerald Enclave, this is like Druids. Flaming Fist Mercenary, pretty cool. Genie Touch, super awesome. Harper, of course. Ice Fisher. Knight of the Gauntlet. Lord's Alliance Vassal. Moonwell Pilgrim is also really cool. Mulhorandi Tomb Raider. What do we have here? Mythil Keeper. Just awesome. You might not know what these words are. If not, go read some books, people. Purple Dragon Squire, I should say. Rashimi Wanderer. Shadowmaster Exile. Spellfire Initiate. Zentarum Mercenary. Now, each of these backgrounds, if you take them, come with some things. Ability score. Feat. So here you get the Zentarum Ruffian feat. Skill proficiencies, Intimidation and Perception. Tool proficiencies, Forgery Kit. And you get some starting equipment. You can choose A. Club, Dagger, Forgery Kit. Fine Clothes, Hooded Lantern, Oil. Or A or B. Where is B? Forgery Kit, Hooded Lantern, 3 flasks, 2 pouches, things. 11 copper. Or B is 50 gold pieces to buy your own equipment. So basically you are, if you don't want to go through the equipment list and go, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, you just go, I'll just take A and I'm done. And that's my equipment to start the game with. Backgrounds are so good for new players. Experienced players, if you've got your character in mind, then you're already going, all right, I know I need this, I need this weapon, I want this armor, I want this, I want this. And you can use the extra gold that you kind of get. You get 11 gold pieces here to buy extra equipment. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to keep all your gold. In fact, when I actually used to play, like as a player, I would just spend everything and just have like a few copper pieces left. So really cool. Then you've got your feats. So you've got origin feats here. So if you pick one of the backgrounds, it gives you the feat there. And then you've got all of your general feats. These are just thematic, flavorful ways to build up your character if you're into that kind of thing. You don't need to take them if you don't want to. As you level up, you will get new feats. Then we have our guide to the realms. So we have time, and you have the months, the name of the month, and the more common name. And it just tells you the calendar, special calendar days, the different currency in each area. Gold is called different things, and silver is called different things, which is really cool. It's just, you don't need to use it. It's just thematic and flavorful, and it just helps to immerse you in the land of Faerun if that is something that your party or your dungeon master is actually interested in. And then we have the realms timeline. So the present, this is the current year, and then we have the second sundering, the spell plague, the time of troubles, and everything kind of leading up to. So think of time of troubles as the beginning of 2nd edition, and the spell plague as the beginning of 4th edition. Then we have adventures. So this is basically talking about the different regions in the realms. Now here is the same map that was on the cover here. Pardon me. But kind of you can now actually make it out a little bit better, the borders and things like that. So we start with the Anarok. The Anarok is a desert area. It was created when the Netheril race got a bit too big for their britches and destroyed the weave, which is the magic that holds everything together. And they had all these floating cities that were floating using magic. And when the weave was broken, all the cities crashed to the ground except one, the city of Shade, which managed to escape into the Shadowfell. We have the Arcane Empires. It gives you, at a glance, and then it gives you the realms, Aglarond, Rashomon, Thay, the languages that are spoken, the different landmarks you will find, and what threats you will find. This is, it's good DM knowledge, but it's also kind of useful player knowledge as well, which is pretty cool. Then we have the Forgotten Lands. This is made up of, let's see, Denara, the Great Dale, Impulta, Narfell, Thesk, and the Vast. And it gives you these kind of maps. In my opinion, these maps are a little too small. I had a little bit of a hard time reading them, but that's okay. Pardon me. The Heartlands, made up of Cormyr, the Dalelands, Moonshae, Sembia. The Lands of Intrigue. The North. The Old Empires, which is really cool. The Sword Coast are probably now the most popular because this is where Baldur's Gate, like Baldur's Gate 3 is set on the Sword Coast. The Trackless Sea. This is where the Moonshae Isles are. Vilhon Reach. And beyond. So you've got Cholt, which is the jungle with the dinosaurs. You've got Evermeet, which is the Isle of the Elves. The Lake of Steam. The Shah. Sosal. Now we come to the gods of Faerun. So it tells you what happens when your character will die, what happens to their soul, the different religious institutions, temples, how they commune with their gods, and things along those lines. How divine magic works, the deities of Faerun, and here is all the deities. This is their home plane, and this is what races, what species or what classes typically worship that deity. For example, Lolth, queen of god of spiders, she rules the abyss. Evil drow, folk who travel the Underdark, will often pray to Lolth. Tempest, god of war, is in limbo. Fighters, mercenaries, and warriors will often pray to Tempest. Timora, god of good fortune. She resides in Arborea. Gamblers, harpers, merchants, and rogues will often pray to the Lady of Luck. So that's pretty cool. Then you get a description of them and their tenants and things along those lines. For each one, you have Bane, he's back. Bashaba, the goddess of bad luck. Baal, Shantia, Sirik, Denier, Illustri, Eldath, Gond, the Wonderbringer. You have all of them: Kelemvor, Lathander, Lyra, the Mistress of Revels, Leviatha, Lady Pain, Malar, the Beast Lord, Mask, Malachi, just all the gods and goddesses of the realms. Now, you don't get a lot of the demi-human gods and goddesses. That's kind of for another time. Then we have Aurora's Whole Realms catalog. This is just the different items you can buy. You get to see some great pictures there and some descriptions of them, which is kind of cool. The magic of Faerun, the weave, circle magic, all of that cool stuff. Some new spells here. Not going to go through all of them. They're all pretty cool. Now, the factions of the realms are basically the different organizations that kind of work to either do good or do evil or kind of have a balance. Now, this table at the bottom here gives you a list of the different factions and whether they're friendly, hostile, or indifferent to each other. So you can see the Cult of the Dragon is friendly to the Cult of the Dragon, hostile to the Emerald Enclave, Harpers, Lords Alliance, Order of the Gauntlet, Purple Dragons, and indifferent to the Red Wizards, and friendly with the Zentarum. So this is just a good way to insert a lot of flavor into your games, which I thought was really, really cool. So we start with the Cult of the Dragon, as I said, my kind of favorite. You get the goals and activities, the leadership and organizations, the different cells, the recruitment process, and where is the purple, and how to get out of the cult if you are in it. And then Cult of the Dragon rewards for renown, and if you have Cult of the Dragon characters, things like Marked by the Dragon, things along those lines. The Emerald Enclave, same thing. When your renown goes up, you get some bonuses, things like that. Again, this is all really just flavorful. You don't need to add any of this into your games, but if you're a stickler for detail like I am when it comes to creating adventures and running games, this is all really good stuff. Plus, you don't need to be running a 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons game to get benefit from this book. You can adapt this to whatever system you want, whatever edition you want. You can throw some of this into Pathfinder if you like the ideas that are here, although if you're a diehard Pathfinder fan, I highly doubt that you are purchasing 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons stuff. But this is just really, really cool. The Harpers, the Lords Alliance. This is kind of an alliance of all of the kind of cities here. The Order of the Gauntlet. You get the great kind of weapons and whatnot. Kind of what they stand for. Purple Dragon Knights. These are the knights that effectively protect Cormyr. Cormyr being the like one of the largest major forces of good in the realms. I believe currently King Azaun IV, the king that went on the crusade against the Tweegan Horde, is dead. His son is the King Regent, but he's just a baby at the moment. Well, I say at the moment, in the last short story I read. And yeah, it's just a fantastic. The Obarski family is just fantastic. Cormier's probably all changed by now. I haven't really kept up with the modern stuff. I was going through my midlife crisis, my nerd midlife crisis. Just reading all the old crap. The Red Wizards, if you watched the film Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, you already know who the Red Wizards are. You've already seen them in action. Sastam, the Lich, and of course the Zentarum. You can go back and watch my RPG review on the Zentel Keep book, which was a box set back in the day, but there you have it. And then you have the different criminal syndicates. Now this blew my freaking mind for one reason. These guys, the Fire Knives. The Fire Knives are a bunch of nobles that have banded together and become kind of like this assassin squad, this assassin group. Now, why did this blow my mind? Back in the day, I did love Dungeons and Dragons very much. We had an old Commodore 64 computer, and SSI released a series of Dungeons and Dragons games, starting with Pool of Radiance, which was the video game version of the first edition scenario Ruins of Adventure. There was also a novel released of Pool of Radiance, which is part of the first book of a trilogy, which I did track down, and I will be reading and reviewing this year on the channel. But the second game was Hillsfar. A lot of fun, not as popular. But the third game, Curse of the Azure Bonds, was my first SSI Dungeons and Dragons video game. Your party wakes up in an inn. You have these blue runes on your arms, and as you progress through the game and you kill each of the factions that put one of the runes on your arm, the rune goes away, you get more powerful, and then eventually you fight the big bad, Tyranthraxus, who was the big bad from Pool of Radiance. Now, the Fire Knives are the first faction that you come up against in the town of Tilverton. It is so cool to see them given love here. Absolutely brilliant. Then you have the Nine Golden Swords, the Shadow Thieves, Xanathar's Guild from Waterdeep. Xanathar, of course, being the beholder that runs a crime syndicate. And then other organizations, the Arcane Brotherhood, Aurora's Emporium, the Elemental Cults. You saw these in one of the 5th edition adventures, Princes of the Apocalypse, I believe it was called. Really cool. I love the Elemental Cults. They first appeared in Temple of Elemental Evil. Once again, a fantastic early Dungeons and Dragons adventure that has been translated multiple times, including into a novel and including into an extremely difficult video game, but extremely fun. So good there. The Flaming Fist, they're a mercenary group. The Kraken Society, really, really cool. Order of Delvers, Spellguard, and the Waterclock Guild. And then we have our index there. And then we have, of course, our giant map of Faerun that you can tear out of the book. I'm not going to. So that, my friends, is Forgotten Realms, Heroes of Faerun. This is one of my favorite books that has come out for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. I will continue to purchase 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. I just absolutely love it. I love the system. However, I am more interested these days in reliving my past and looking for the more obscure 1st and 2nd edition Dungeons and Dragons books, as well as just the Dungeons and Dragons books when you had the original basic set, expert set, so on. I do have the Rules Cyclopedia, which has all of the boxes in one hardcover. Absolutely mammoth collection of awesomeness. But when things like this come out, of course, I'll look into them, and more than likely I will pick them up. So there you go. I just want to say a big cheers to everyone who watched this video through to the end. And if you did enjoy it, like and subscribe, leave a comment. Even if it's a comment recommending other game systems to me, I can let you know whether or not I already have them, whether or not I should reread and review them. Reading systems like this, like reading the Dungeons and Dragons books, reading different rule books, Shadowrun, Star Wars, things like that. I just really enjoy learning these rules systems. There are so many games that I want to play. Unfortunately, my group only meets once a week on a Saturday night, and usually we're talking about Plaguelands Media stuff, and we don't ever get around to really getting into the game itself, which, is perfectly fine because we're all really busy people, and we've all got a lot of ideas that we want to bounce off one another. I believe the next system we have chosen to play is Werewolf the Wild West. Basically, werewolf cowboys. I mean, how can you fucking go wrong with werewolf cowboys? So, there you go. Do all that good stuff, but most important of all, have a fantastic rest of your day. Stay safe. And of course, roll some fucking dice, people.